Those last two levels were the definition of pure mind destruction. Taking the stairwell after I recovered myself, I'm led to a new area. A living room area that's all flooded with seawater. Now I'm on level 7, difficulty class 4, unsafe, unsecure, and has a medium entity count. I'm more than halfway to my objective at this point, so I'm feeling a lot better upon that realization. But all this is starting to take its toll. I'm not sure which is going to hold out the longest, my body or my mind, and so far it feels like my mind will break first. It just seems like the Backrooms just hates human consciousness and does everything it can to break it. Before I take in the level I'm on, I take a much needed rest. The question whether to continue or not comes back up. I came far since the beginning, and after surviving the level of pure pitch black mind hate that was level 6, then things shouldn't be so bad moving on, right? What am I thinking? So far, every level has been getting progressively harder, and to expect anything less is just ignorant. If I'm going to continue down the path I'm on, then I need to expect pure hell on the horizon. It's the only way if I'm going to survive long enough to make it to level 11. And then from there, hopefully, to another clue that will help get me back home. Nevertheless, I need to keep moving. I take a quick peek at my survival guide and see if it can point me in the right direction. I see I need to find an opening on the ocean floor. I look outside and yep, there's a hot dang ocean out there. But it's upside down, and from the look of it, it's far down. Or up? I see an inflatable boat someone left. I see the Meg had set all this up. Also, extra supplies, a rebreather, swimming goggles, and a warning. Watch out for Tiny and the thing on level 7. Alright, I inflate the boat and head out with rebreather in hand. This level is weird, and since the ocean is upside down, I drop the boat first and then lower my supply bag on rope and then jump out the window going in for a dive, upright. My dive was successful, although it did knock the wind out of me. As the inflatable boat landed, I hopped on and started my paddle. My supplies dangle at the end of the rope, still attached to the window. Not sure exactly where to start. The survival guide mentions zones beneath the depths of the ocean, and each depth is progressively more difficult than the last. The daylight zone, that is the surface level of the ocean, and is mostly barren. The twilight zone lies approximately a kilometre below the surface of the ocean. The midnight zone is about 3 kilometres below the surface. This is my target, since there's said to be a tunnel leading towards level 8 located under some underwater mountains there. And lastly, there's the Abyss zone. Anywhere below 7 kilometres here can be called the Abyss, so not going anywhere near that. The two upper zones that are the daylight and twilight are the hunting grounds of Tiny, while the other two lower zones, being the midnight and the abyss, are the hunting grounds of the thing on level 7. The rebreather is no oxygen tank. It has 4 capsules cleverly placed along the ring of it, and a mouthpiece. Its instructions says it only has about 1 hour's worth of oxygen, if used lightly. Whoever made this is clearly very clever, since it is clearly handmade, and there was more than just one. Maybe I should have bought 2. Nah, might be a bit unfair. Before I even had the chance to decide whether to go back up and grab one, since there was a rope ladder there the whole time, my boat suddenly got pierced by a trident. Whoa, what the hell? That missed me by inches. The air flew out of my boat very quickly, and before I knew it, I was in the water, floundering around like a drowning bird. I had to get my bearings quick though, because the thing with the trident was still out there. I had to swim as quick as I can to the rope ladder to escape. I cling onto the rope ladder just before a shadow beneath the water catches up to me, just as I climb out of range. The shadow turns around and slowly starts to swim around. I climb back up to the room and gather my bearings. Okay, maybe I won't go out today. I'll try again tomorrow. I pull my bag back up and dry out my clothes, rest and eat. I think I planned my approach too quickly. I need to be smarter than this, otherwise I'm going to get skewered like a kebab before long. I'm annoyed at myself because I tend to be diving into things without much thought, literally. And that sort of shit gets people killed. Now, I need to think. I have 1 hour's breathing oxygen. I must descend to a depth of about 3 kilometers and find an underwater mountain range. Find an opening in the base of that range and enter it all without drowning or getting hunted by the 2 entities that live here. I know I said 2, but these are more than just the regular entities you'd normally find. I guess I can put them into their own category. I'd say, greater entities. Yeah. The squid beast on level 5, Jerry, Tiny, and the thing that lives on level 7 are all in this category, since they are all a lot more powerful than other lesser entities. Tiny is like a merman, shark version, that carries and uses a bloody great big trident, who I was just acquainted with. And the thing is, well, there isn't really a description of it in here. It just says it's a huge fish-like entity. Either way, I need to avoid them both at all costs. Alright, I got a plan. I made a makeshift set of flippers out of some book covers and a very crude crossbow harpoon. It's not powerful at all, but at close range it should at least scare Tiny enough to give me an opening. Not even going to think about trying it on the thing. I also gathered a bunch of heavier materials like ornaments and a paperweight and some other various pieces to make me heavier so I can sink faster. I put all that into a pillowcase and strap it onto a belt and strap it around me so that the moment when I find the mountain range, I'll loosen the belt and drop the weight so I can swim faster. I resort my bag, discarding items I might not end up using. Mostly junk for trade, and that bug spray can. I bag up my clothes and other valuables, making them as waterproof as possible. I suit up, slip on my flippers, and dive in again, upright. Brace for the impact of the water surface. Again, I'm writing this after the fact I have completed the level. I made it. Just. I delved down into the depths and started swimming. Made sure to check and see if there were any familiar shadows on the surface. Didn't want to get speared right as I dived into the water. I swam and swam, holding my breath until I couldn't anymore, then equipped my rebreather. The weighted belt really helped speed up the descent. I think if I go down too quickly, I might end up getting sick, or worse, when I come back up. But technically, I'm not coming back up. I'm looking for a hole, but aren't we all? Hey lads! Anyway, I'm not worried about pressure sickness. About 2.5 kilometers down, I see the mountain range in the distance and make my way towards it. But I look and spot a familiar shape and a long 3-tipped spear. Oh crap, he found me. Tiny. And he begins a charge. I needed to drop the weight belt now. I loosen the belt and it falls just in time for me to mount the defence. I point my crossbow waiting for him to get in range, for me to shoot my spear. But just before he does, he disengages and swims to evade my shot. He seems to think my crossbow is stronger than it looks. We repeat the same routine over and over, while I'm inching my way towards the mountain base, while keeping Tiny at bay. I can't keep this up forever. I'm not sure how much air I have left, and breathing heavier is making me lose air faster. I try to steady my breathing, but Tiny is so quick. If I fuck up once, I'm dead. If only I had a decent harpoon gun. I could have taken a few good shots. I couldn't afford to lose my only shot though. My shitty little crossbow is not prepared for a deer, let alone an entity this strong. But I still fought him off with as much bravery as I could muster. I'm close enough to the mountain base to search for an entrance. I still have Tiny on my case. He does not seem to like me at all. I spot it in a crevice, the hole, lit up by underwater lights around it. I decide to drop my guard to lure Tiny in. I lower my crossbow while keeping an eye on him and wait for the charge. I see him charge for an attack and I manage to dodge his trident, and now I can take my shot. It hit him and pierced the skin, but it did dick all else. He took to a good distance away to pull out the harpoon. Now's my chance. I drop the crossbow and underwater sprint towards the opening. I drag myself through the underwater cave channel and eventually I hit a pocket of air in the cave. I made it. Just off the skin of my teeth. Tiny was a mighty opponent, but I was determined. I'm glad I didn't encounter the thing on level 7. That'll be instant death. I took off my makeshift underwater gear and gave an extra thank you to the smartass that designed a rebreather. Might take this with me. It's empty now, but I hope I can get a refill. If not, then it'll be worth a lot in the next trade. Carrying all this shit is really starting to weigh me down though. I should be a bit more selective of my grabbing of all the things from now on. You know, now that I had the chance to sit and think after that mighty battle between me and Tiny, between God and man, the clash of titans, I realised how amazing it is now how I haven't even been scratched by an entity yet. Yeah, I had some close calls, but no real wounds yet. I got scratches and bruises from running and falling, but I'm still in a physically good state. Mind feels stable enough to continue at least. Time to experience the wonders of level 8, and if I had a good idea of what this level might be, I'm betting this level takes place in a cave. Wow.